Did you ever make an attempt to say small talk with Wesley Snipes on the set?
Once in a while, but that's like you also don't want to respect his process and you don't want to take him out of the character. But I did ask him how his weekend was once, and he said something very sweet. He said, "Save your breath, you'll live longer." I don't look at that as a snub. I just think that's tough love. It sat on the shelf at Fox. Nobody did anything with it, and then suddenly one day it accidentally leaked to the internet, and that was about a year and a half ago.
Accidentally leaked.
And here we are. I mean, that was the fans that spoke. They spoke loud and proud, and they just overwhelmed Fox with response over the Deadpool movie. So they greenlit it within 24 hours.
If you were wondering whether Judge Louis Lyman planned to shield Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds when it came to their private messages, or protect Isabella Ferrer, WME, or Sony, the answer is very clear. He did not. He also refused to cover Betty B Holdings and Family Hive, which are connected to Blake's hair care business. Late Friday night, moving into early Saturday, the judge placed a new order into the court record. This decision came after a rough week in the case, especially after lawyers for Blake and Ryan uploaded a fully unedited copy of Justin Baldoni's deposition transcripts. Those files included sensitive business details, money records, and even home addresses. Whatever conversations happened privately did not change the judge's stance. He made it clear that transparency matters now more than comfort. He stated that oral arguments on Wayfair's request for summary judgment and Blake's request for sanctions are scheduled for Thursday, January 22. The public has the right to attend and understand those arguments using materials that are not hidden. He specifically said continued efforts to keep records sealed could not be justified. Because of that, the judge laid out clear instructions. Anyone who submitted documents that were previously sealed must refile them under his new rules. He said a full written explanation would follow, spelling out exactly why only certain limited information could remain hidden. He also explained that some requests tied to Jennifer Abel were not addressed because they would not be part of the upcoming arguments. The judge then directly denied motions from several non-parties. Isabella Ferrer's request was rejected except for basic personal identifiers. Betty B Holdings and Family Hive were denied protection entirely. That means financial documents like K-1 forms, board updates, ownership stakes, and investor details must now be made public. There is no hiding who owns what or how much influence Blake has in those companies. Sony attempted to seal limited material, claiming it could expose employees to harassment. The judge did not accept that argument. Only one exhibit, a financial agreement between Wayfair and Sony, was allowed to stay sealed. Everything else remains open. William Morris Endeavor tried to permanently hide all text messages exchanged with Ryan Reynolds. That request was also denied. They even argued the messages were second-hand information, but the court was not persuaded. Other parties, including Wayfair, Blake, and additional individuals, received mixed rulings. Some requests were partially approved, others rejected. The judge ordered all sides to rewrite and resubmit their legal filings so they match his decisions. Any references to information now sealed must be removed. Anything denied protection must stay visible. It is important to understand that this ruling only applies to materials someone actually asked to seal. If no request was made and no outside party objected, those documents become public automatically. Many items tied to Blake were never challenged, meaning they will also be released. The judge relied on a chart created by all sides to track these decisions. In many cases, his answer was simply unseal. One of the biggest losses involved Ryan Reynolds. He asked the court to fully seal several exhibits, claiming they involved privacy for others. The judge rejected that request. In short, the court chose openness over secrecy. Large portions of this case will now be visible to the public, whether the parties wanted that or not. His main claim was that he should not be involved at all. He argued that he had been removed from the case, was not an active participant, and never asked to be part of the lawsuit. He said he played no meaningful role, and that releasing his messages would only feed public curiosity and drama. Based on that reasoning, he asked the court to completely hide every message between himself and his WME agents, especially those connected to the press, the movie premiere, and statements attacking Justin Baldoni. He did not ask for partial edits. He demanded full secrecy. Because of that choice, he did not offer any suggested redactions. That strategy failed. The judge rejected the request and ordered everything opened. By asking for total protection instead of limited edits, he lost the chance to control what stayed private. The messages involved cover a long timeline. Several texts from July 13, 2024 focus on the premiere and spreading harmful claims about Baldoni, including calling him unstable and dangerous, and pushing the idea that he should stay away. Later messages from August continue the same pattern, repeating negative statements and encouraging damage to his reputation. Around August 12th and 13th, there are messages demanding that Baldoni issue a public apology and accept blame for backlash aimed at Blake and Ryan. When that did not happen, threats followed, including leaving WME and escalating pressure. More messages from August 15th, 17th, and 18th show coordination with Leslie Sloan to place false stories in the media. These efforts appear aimed at shifting attention away from criticism Blake was facing and redirecting it toward Baldoni. According to the legal filings, this was done to silence negative coverage of Blake by flooding the press with damaging narratives about him instead. Leslie Sloan did not ask for her records to remain hidden. Because of that, her full deposition and all related communications with reporters will also become public. This means the entire scope of how stories were pitched, framed, and planted will be visible. The court will now show how messaging was shaped on behalf of clients. This move backfired badly. Instead of limiting exposure, everything is now open. The judge found no reason to keep these records sealed. That includes language that may be aggressive or hostile. The court decided transparency outweighed discomfort. Blake also asked to hide many records. Some requests were granted in small part, but many were denied. 2 message threads she wanted fully hidden were ordered released. Other texts were allowed only minor edits. Financial records showing payments and commissions from WME will be fully visible, revealing income details and agency percentages. Some private information tied to unrelated third parties will be partially protected, but the substance of the messages will still be shown. Several of her texts from 2023 and 2024 involving cast members, famous friends, script control, and negative comments about Baldoni will appear on the docket. Messages discussing rewriting scenes, rejecting support staff, criticizing appearances, and pressuring others will all be available. On Wayfair's side, even more material will be released. This includes texts about controlling the film, isolating cast members, planting stories, and influencing public opinion. Depositions, expert reports, emails, and sanctions-related messages will also be unsealed. In the end, the court decided that attempts to hide behind privacy claims were not justified. What both Blake and Ryan tried to keep secret will now be visible, showing exactly how control, influence, and media pressure were used behind the scenes. The documents show that she clearly understood what was happening with the public reaction and why it was happening. The records explain that she knew the criticism was growing because of her own choices. According to the filings, she admitted in messages with Sony that much of the negative response came after she unfollowed him and stopped him from taking part in promotion. She also recognized that his absence from publicity played a role in how people reacted. This matters because it shows awareness, not confusion. If she had simply allowed him to appear, stayed professional, and put personal feelings aside, much of this situation likely would not have happened. She knew trouble was brewing before the premiere even happened. There are messages from July where she acknowledges the reaction was already building. Because of that, blaming everything on a smear campaign against him does not align with what she privately admitted. Some of the records she tried to hide involve her own recognition that he was not the cause. Those requests failed. She also tried to quietly seal a PGA letter later, saying she forgot to include it. The judge ignored that attempt, meaning that letter will now be public as well. Many other materials were never challenged at all, so they will automatically be released. Depositions from several people, including Jenny Slate, Alex Sachs, Colleen Hoover, and Isabella Ferrer, will be open. These include discussions about the rooftop scene and her efforts to add extra content to it. Notes exchanged between Baldoni and Giannetti will also be available. Emails from June 25, 2024, discussing control over the movie will appear too. There is an audio message from February 8, 2023, where she talks about delaying filming of intimate scenes due to discomfort with her body. Additional messages from early February reference appearance concerns. More texts from mid-February include comments about looks and conversations with her agent. Messages sent directly to Baldoni during that same time will also be visible. Texts from April 12th discuss the rooftop scene and the use of dragons. An August 11 email confirms she knew her husband wrote that scene. That same message appears in her public complaint, yet she attempted to seal it here. Her revised safety requests will also be unsealed. She did not contest messages related to the New York Times article, including communications showing she knew about it weeks before publication. Other messages include notifications about illness, complaints sent to Giannetti, and lists of concerns that notably do not mention harassment. A June 1 text references a birth scene. July messages include further complaints. A May 17 message shows she did not follow the same rules she demanded from others. There are texts objectifying a male cast member, emails from late 2023, messages from early 2024 criticizing people, and conversations with famous friends speaking negatively about Baldoni. July 2024 messages include demands for credit changes and pressure on Sony. Messages from mid-August relate to backlash over cross-promotion of products. More communications from that same period involve spreading stories to shift blame. There are also audio calls, late-year texts, emails throughout 2024, and messages with WME. Even some of Ryan's texts, including one sent directly to Baldoni, will be released. Altogether, these uncontested records will show how she framed events, shaped narratives, and gathered support behind the scenes. Her own messages show that she knew the public reaction was not being caused by fake accounts or organized attacks. She claimed the negative campaign began in August of 2024, but her conversations tell a different story. There is a message between her and Sony where she admits she understands why people are upset. Fans noticed that Baldoni was missing from promotions, and that absence created frustration. She was aware of that early on, before everything escalated. Because of that, the intense reaction from her and Ryan last week looks more like panic than confidence. They rushed to expose private information and tried to shift attention away from themselves. That move did not seem to impress the judge. He did not appear shaken or persuaded by their urgency. Instead, he focused on fairness and access. Some messages will still have small edits, but that applies to everyone involved. The judge treated Wayfair the same way. He accepted several of their suggested changes and allowed documents to be released with limited personal details removed. This is normal in legal cases. Names of people not directly involved, private contact information, or unrelated financial data are often covered. That does not weaken the overall picture. What really matters is what will remain visible in the Rule 56.1 statements. Those records contain the most important quotes and timelines. They show who knew what, when they knew it, and how they responded. The judge made it clear that the public's right to understand the case outweighs discomfort from exposure. Transparency won. This decision hits Blake and Ryan hard. They have spent a lot of time shaping the story, guiding press coverage, and managing perception. That control is slipping. Because of this ruling, their actions, messages, and strategies will be seen exactly as they wrote them. The way the film was taken over, the pressure placed on others, and the effort to redirect blame will now be visible. There was strong evidence on record. Many people are disappointed that the claims against them were dismissed because the documents suggest serious issues. Still, what remains is powerful. This week feels like a turning point. The judge also opened the upcoming arguments to the public. Anyone can attend in person, including reporters. That choice sends a message. It is unlikely there will be a phone or audio option since it will happen in court. Still, allowing the public inside shows confidence in the process. The judge emphasized that people deserve to hear the arguments directly, not filtered through spin or selective leaks. He made it clear that privacy concerns do not outweigh accountability here. He also rejected the idea that Ryan should be treated as an innocent outsider. The record shows involvement, not distance. That point matters. Some viewers had started to doubt the judge, but this order lines up with what was promised earlier. The protective rules stated that sealed material could be opened once major motions were filed. Anything attached to summary judgments would be reviewed again. The judge followed through on that promise. He said he would open those records, and he did. Now what was hidden is coming out. The result may be uncomfortable, but it is honest. Watching a carefully built image fall apart is never easy. This feels like the beginning of a reckoning. Their words, choices, and conduct are no longer protected. Everything will now be judged in the open.